Or the people who watch the game industry the same way you watch a friend you never liked slowly choke and die, you hear a lot of talks about wanting to expand the gaming audience, to bring in those poor productive people who haven't yet sold their souls for a new 3DS. Good. Great. Sounds like a plan. On the whole, this is a good idea, but the gaming community and industry has it so ass-bleedingly backwards that it's like trying to stab someone with a broken knife. Pointless and leads to an awkward conversation later. I'm happy to say that we can all take a turn on the paddling board for this one, companies and communities alike. There's a lot of shit to fling and cheeks to redden, so let's get cracking. Let's start with the industry side of things. When it comes to companies, it's best to watch the actions than listen to the words. Promises and teases are nice, but they don't mean much when the same person has a gun aimed at your head. But in this case, the gun is filled with useless fucking shit. DLC, pre-order culture, season passes, collector's editions. These are all trials that the well-versed audience has to deal with on a regular basis. But look at it in the perspective of the starry-eyed doe, who hasn't yet had the rite of passage of being called a faggot on Xbox Live by a 12-year-old. Let me lay down a scenario for you. This poor fucker, let's name him Chester, trying to buy a copy of the new Pugs of Duty game, because his gaming friends are going crazy for it. This is something I've seen happen more than once. Hey, I want to buy this game?
Good choice. Would you like to add an extra few dollars and get the advanced bum-smelling mission pack?
Wait, what? Why isn't that just part of the game?
Well, if it's missing content you're afraid of, why not just boost it up to the collector's edition? You get all the DLC along with this awesome statue. $240, please?
No. I don't have that much, Chester says, now starting to get irritated with all the questions and slightly creeped out by the employee's cold, empty eyes.
Okay, suit yourself. Now, before I let you go, are there any other games you feel like pre-ordering today for an extra $5?
The employee slowly gets closer and a hopeless tear blinks out of his glazed-over eye. Sure. Chester then leaves in a hurry, without getting his game, because the employee in a fit of excitement ripped off his own shirt to show all the AAA games up for pre-order tattooed on his chest. Bit of an exaggeration. I mean, Chester was wearing a blue shirt after all, but do you see my point? More and more the games industry doesn't care what your background is. It'll take a fucking restraining order and a personal bodyguard to get their dirty fingers out of your poor virgin wallet. They're always trying to get more and can never be satisfied with what they have. That's why they want the wider audience in general. More money so they can nickel and dime them like Scrooge McFucking Duck. Never mind people just quit because it's a hassle. Just shut up and give me your wallet.
But wait,
I hear you say emerging from the manhole.
why not just purchase games online?
That's a very good question. But now that I actually think about it, the only online distribution service I would recommend is Nintendo. And that's only because they don't try to waterboard you for your email address. And before you shove a megaphone up my ass and yell Steam, it's worth mentioning that Steam's been shoveling more shit than gold ever since it lowered its standards. Kinda like my parents when I was born. This is more of a personal story of how it almost took me 2 hours to try to get Shovel Knight on the PlayStation 4. I kept on getting lost in passwords and profiles, along with menu screens telling me my information wasn't matching up with ones of a year ago. What's your email? What's your password? What's the last thing you said before you jumped off the fucking bridge? Turning it into a horrible game of Miitomo where I don't get the thrill of breaking into other people's houses and rubbing them without consent. This all went on until I stopped. I quit. It didn't want my money. It wanted every fucking detail about my life before it gave me the privilege. And for what, Sony? To get my email address? I need that for job offers and Pornhub, so in the spam you go. So, I think there could be a change in approach. If a red-cheeked bunny rabbit like me is ready to bang his stupid ugly face into the wall about all this, you can bet a new guy would be measuring himself with a noose. There's even a mixed reaction from the games themselves. Street Fighter V came out with the kind of resentment for casuals I only thought was reserved for me and the opposite sex. Let's take a break from the industry, if only because I can feel the first aneurysm creeping in. Instead, let's make like an AC salesman hoping to get Employee of the Month and talk about fans. You'd think the people who would want games to be enjoyed by everyone is the self-proclaimed gamers themselves. Maybe then we wouldn't be put under a microscope every time there was a mass shooting. It seems more and more there's some new controversy having to do with chopping down any olive branch being extended to the other audience. Most of it having to do with difficulty. There was that entire mess about Star Fox Zero Invincible mode, along with the earth-shattering news that Dark Souls thought about putting an easy setting in their game. All of it ridiculous and silly and in the name of exclusion. That's just the long and short of it. The desire to make sure someone doesn't get what you have. Kinda like when I was trapped in the desert with my mother. And let's talk about the abuse. Oh, the delicious abuse only known by fucking Annie and her orphans. So much boiled piss drowning all of us and enough to make a bunch of poor schmucks quit. As a collective, we haven't even fixed the equality among the gamer audience itself. We don't want girls playing, we don't want casuals playing, we don't want children playing. Who the hell plays then? Or do we just throw all of gaming in the coffin with you when you thankfully fuck off and die? But I'm gonna cut this off here. I can already hear the zombie scratching at my door, moaning meaningless letters. You know, the real problem with all this is that it's gonna be a real bitch to change. So many things I've talked about today are so embedded in the aspects of gaming that rocking the boat is gonna be harder than me trying to hold a conversation with someone without being called a twat. The internet will always complain, and companies will always strive towards money at the risk of themselves. Meanwhile, the third party looks on like we're the abusive couple across the street that doesn't have the decency to close their fucking blinds. Why the hell would they want to teabag this hornet's nest? I think at the end of the day, what needs to happen is we all need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and reevaluate how we do things. Companies, at the end of the soul-crushing day, you are going to make money, and people are probably going to prioritize buying your games over actual food. Your business model, though, is clunky and fettered, and as easy to penetrate as a pair of stone butt cheeks. Gamers, we all didn't come out the woman your dad cheated on your mother with, fucking amazing at video games. Some people take a little longer, some people are just not good in general, but they like to do it anyway. Instead of showing so much gamer dominance, how about trying to usher them in, you know, to bring in the next damn generation? But I guess if worse comes to worse, we can all just build that wall I keep hearing so much about, if only it would be easier to throw ourselves off it and break our goddamn necks.